Hello and welcome back to David Galata Book Dreamer, and I'm David Galata. And we're going to be talking about a topic that, I'm going to be talking about a topic. I got to get some guests here. That'd be a lot of fun. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I'll work on that. In the meantime, I do want to touch on a topic that I have recently encountered, and this was in articles online, on a variety of online sources with editors and columnists talking about how publishers are the great gatekeepers of writing and novel production, and how awful it is that there are self-published authors out there who are doing nothing but nonsense. Hmm. I found in looking at some of these articles that the people involved were very much in the publishing business. And, well, what can I say? Obviously, their views are fairly biased. So it was eh, interesting reading, if nothing else. But I would like to make this little video a rebuttal of that position. I believe that the big time publishers have not been gatekeepers for a very long time. And in fact, they have begun to be propaganda pushers and are politicians more than they are publishers. This is something I have noticed, much to my regret, and it's one of the many reasons I am not interested in being published by the big companies. No, I'm sorry. I will make money doing my self-publishing books and selling books to people like I've been doing for the last few years. Self-publishing is a valid form of creating novels, and it frees one from all the politicking and all of the sloppiness that happens in the professional publishing world. Gatekeepers. What do they mean by gatekeepers? It means that they are saying what's good, what's not, what you should be able to read and what you should avoid so that, you're not, harmed by this awful material that's there. That's not gatekeeping. That is the it is absolutely ludicrous. One of the problems with their views is right now, every time I pick up a mass-produced book, I find grammatical errors. I find uh, errors in terms of continuity in the storyline or with the characters. What are they doing? Most of their editing seems to be using Grammarly and patting themselves on the back. And how is that different from having a self-published author use Grammarly, or even hiring an editor and a proofreader to go through their work, having beta readers to read the work before it's published and discuss with you what they're reading, what they like, what they don't like, to give you an idea of how you're doing as a writer. The publishers seem to have gotten very sloppy about this, as long as you are playing their game. One of these uh, columnists for The Spectator, she was talking about how, the publishers, they make sure that, you know, you're not some self-published author who's actually hiring a ghostwriter, and then that poor person doesn't get paid much, and then you go on and make your royalties. I'm like, what world is this woman in? Well, I looked at her uh, her bio, and she is deep in the big publishing company. So I guess she feels very threatened by the whole self-publishing thing. Ghostwriters, I'm sorry. Every celebrity and politician who has written a book has not written that book. They have hired ghostwriters to write their books. Okay? That's what they do. They hire someone to work with them to write their memoirs, their autobiography, or their books of their own personal philosophy. Note how seriously I'm taking this. And this other person, who is the ghostwriter, writes it all out for them and makes it all good, because most of these people cannot write. Even their speeches are written by someone else. Isn't that ghostwriting? So what are the big publishers doing? Oh, they're utilizing ghostwriters, and they're hiring marketers, and all of that to. So where's the difference? The difference is that the self-published author doesn't have to kowtow to their political views, and they don't have to sit there and make things that they want you to write because they think this is great science fiction or this is great fantasy. And I'm sorry, one of the things that I hear every single time I have a book signing event is customers coming up to saying, you know, I'm getting really bored with what I'm seeing in the bookstores or on Amazon, or, from the big publishers. All I'm seeing is the same topic over and over again. It's like a repeat of Star Wars with different characters. It's just, another space war book with the same kind of characters. You can almost map it out before you've read the book. You read the back, you go, okay, I know what this book is about. They are bored. They are bored because they are being spoon-fed the same material over and over and over again. Now, this is not saying that the original material is bad, or even that the people who are writing these books for these book companies are bad. But the general population seems to be getting bored. So they're looking for something new. And one of the things that I tell them is, my stuff's different. I don't think the big publishers want the stories that I tell, because the stories that I tell are a little on the strange side. They tend to be a little psychedelic. They tend to be a little out there. I don't kowtow to, what they think science fiction should be. And I'm not interested in current politics. I really am not. I find most politics to be incredibly disgusting. I do put politics in my book, but when I do, I make sure those politics fit the setting of the novel. These are people who would deny Isaac Asimov. These are the people who would have never published Gene Wolfe. They've gone, now in those days when these guys were writing, when Larry Niven was writing, when Anne McCaffrey was writing, when Andre Norton was writing, that was a time period when publishers were taking risks. They were taking risks. They were taking chances. And they were publishing some incredible work that was very, very interesting to read. And now it seems they want the same authors writing the same books over and over and over and over and over again, as if they're Cheerios or something. They're not making breakfast cereals. They're stifling creativity. Um, this some of these columnists have also been talking about, oh, how sloppily written self-published books are. Well, yes, some of them are. Yes, you're right. Some of them are. Some of them are not, though. Some of them are very carefully proofread. Some of them are very carefully edited, because there are a lot of self-published authors out there who know they need an editor. They need a proofreader to go over their work with them. And so they hire one. They're not using the system that, Doubleday, Simon Schuster, Tor, or any of them, DAW. They're not using their people. They're hiring freelancers. Oh, wait. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, now there's no gatekeepers involved. You can be writing anything. And oh, there's no control. Control? Oh, okay. So you want to control the arts, do you? You want to be just like the record companies. You want to be just like the art galleries, and control and constrain the artistic inspirations of the author, the artist, the musician, the poet, the screenwriter. Oh, this is what they want. And of course it is. Of course it's what they want. It's very obvious to anyone who looks at things with an open mind. They seem to be fixated on directing the public's focus to certain topics and certain politics and certain ways that they want them to think. How convenient for them. Uh, Whereas the self-published author doesn't. Now, for an example on how sloppy the publishers are, I have an art apprentice, and she works in the studio with me, and I teach. And she was reading Dune on my recommendation, and she happened to have an 8th edition copy of Dune by Frank Herbert. And what did she find? Wrong words, misspelled words. Wait a minute, whoa, whoa, this is the 8th edition? So how many professional editors and proofreaders have gone through this book and they're still finding errors? And she showed me these errors. I was like, wow, okay, how did that happen? Because they're not being careful. They're being sloppy. The publishers make a lot of noise about how professional they are. I don't think they're doing a good job. I think they're doing a very sloppy job. I personally think that they are relying too much on software and marketing and politics, and not enough on innovation and human eyes going through these things carefully and finding errors. Now, I will admit, yeah, the first couple of books that I produced, yeah, they could use a little more proofreading. There were errors. And there's going to be errors in any book. Once you've written more than 100,000 words, there's going to be errors in there, errors that several people will not find. But the fact that they blame the idea of self-published authors for this is ridiculous, because they themselves make the same errors and mistakes as the self-published authors. And there are some wonderful self-published authors. Um, Ian Douglas, for example. Uh, there are plenty of people out there who do really good work. Tani Nelson is another one. They're self-published authors, and they do good work. And I recommend them to everyone because, yeah, they're good authors. Just because you're self-published doesn't mean you don't know what you're doing. And there's a lot of garbage being produced by the big publishers, about as much as being produced by the self-published writers. So, yeah, pick and choose wisely. But you know what? If you're doing a digital, you're reading digitally, it's not as expensive. Sometimes it doesn't cost anything. You read a few pages, oh, no, I can't read this. And you close it and you leave it alone. I've bought plenty of books that I'm like, oh my goodness, this is painful to read. And some of them have come from big time publishers like Penguin. And, no, no, you know, this is it is propaganda and nothing more. It is propaganda and nothing more. And I find it ironic that a lot of these articles were in online magazines, online news sources that do not have a print version. Okay, and they're talking about gatekeepers being gatekeepers for, they're not gatekeeping anything. They're just trying to keep their dying business going. Because quite honestly, from what I've seen and from what I've heard, the publishers are losing authors in droves. Their system is unfair. Their contracts are laughable, and they are not careful, and they do not care about their writers. They don't care about the authors. Hell, I think they don't care about their editors either. So they're relying more and more on software than human beings. And this is an issue, and it's an issue they don't want to talk about, but they project it onto everything else. They're projecting it on the rest of us who are trying to be more careful. I am making a second edition. I'm working on it now of the first 3 books that I've written. They need it. They need it. I really do want to make second editions. I want to correct some things, clean them up a bit. But I have been extremely careful with the books that I have produced recently. They go through multiple editing cycles. They go through proofreading. They go through all kinds of things. I have people helping me out. And it seems to be working very nicely. At the same time, I have yet to hear from any of my readers, hey, your stuff is really awful and hard to read. I don't hear that. So I don't know where these people are getting off saying they're such great gatekeepers. It sounds to me more like they want to constrain the arts for the sake of propaganda. Agree and disagree with me all you like. This is my opinion, but I would love to hear from you, and I would love to hear your comments and respond to them. So please, thank you for watching. Thank you, thank you, thank you, especially those of you who made it all the way here to the end. And please hit a like there, give me a thumbs up, and subscribe so you can catch my other videos. And make a comment or two. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear more comments on my channel here. And in the meantime, I'll see you next week, and happy reading to you. Take care.